Hello everybody, my name is Sharath Madala and I am creating my second video on YouTube today, which is to explain how to make Indian Rupee the globally dominant currency. And is there a possibility for us to leverage technology so that this goal can be realized faster? So let's try to deconstruct this problem and objectively analyze what does it take for us to become the globally dominant currency. So the reason I am doing this video is because there is a latest development where our Honorable Prime Minister had instructed Reserve Bank of India to come up with a 10-year strategy and roadmap to make our currency the globally dominant currency. And this is natural because we are an ambitious economy. We are set to become the third largest economy in the world by 2030. And in a span of one generation, which is almost 20 to 25 years from now, we are expected to become the second largest economy in the world, next only to China. With this kind of vision and aspiration being there in place, it's very natural for us to aspire to have a globally dominant currency. And when I say dominant, what do I mean is that our currency should be accessible in every country across the world, and it should be acceptable by all the economic agents in those countries. So this is the definition of a globally dominant currency. So let's also try to understand, why do we want to have a globally dominant currency? Is it just an aspirational quotient, or is there something behind it? There is something behind it, as you may have thought about it. Uh, Firstly, governments want their currencies to be globally dominant for the simple reason that when your currency is accessible everywhere and it is acceptable everywhere, all the economic agents across the world would like to hold their financial assets in your currency. So let's say if your currency is very much accessible in Italy and it is acceptable by all the economic agents in Italy, so then the Italian economic agents would want to hold a part of their financial assets in Indian rupees. As simple as that. So what is it going to do is to create more and more demand for Indian rupee. And because the demand is going to come from all the geographies across the world, when the demand from one country dips, there is a possibility that it would be counterbalanced by demand from some other country, and hence the demand is going to be stable. And because of this stable demand, you are going to get the rupee denominated bonds issued at a lower yields, because there is going to be an offtake any which ways. So you will get to access to uh, capital at a very low cost, and this is exactly what is happening with US as well. They get access to almost near zero capital cost. They get all their capital at near zero interest rates because of the dominant status that is enjoyed by US dollars. So that is exactly what can happen to India also if their currency is going to become a dominant currency. And secondly, all the economic agents, when I say economic agents, what do I mean is all the industrial houses, the individuals, the NRIs, and all the MSMEs, which are actually doing cross border transactions and earning money in more than one geography. They will be dealing with a lower foreign exchange risk. And any economic agent will prefer to deal with uh, lower foreign exchange risk or even no foreign exchange risk, for their businesses to be predictable. So businesses want predictability more than anything else, and for their businesses to be predictable, they would want to do business in that currency which is going to be globally dominant and which is going to be globally accessible and acceptable by everyone. Okay. Now with this background, let's understand, why is it not that our currency is the globally dominant currency today? I mean, what is so special with US and what is not so special with India? For one simple reason, the fundamentals. US currency is the globally dominant currency because they adopted a fully convertible capital account regime. So, what do I mean by this? It simply means in layman's language that you can go and buy any asset in US, and your transaction is not going to be regulated. It's a free market transaction. You are entitled to go and buy any transaction, any financial asset or any physical asset in US, and you can buy their currency and you can sell their currency at any country. And because their assets are on demand by people across the world, so and their every country in the world has some portion of their financial assets held in US dollars. So US products and services are going to see demand from all corners of the world. Okay. So this is what a fully convertible capital account will do for your country and for your currency. But why is, if the answer is so simple, why is India not adopting this model? Uh, India is not adopting this model for one simple reason. It's because of what happened in the Asian crisis in 1997, where the currencies of all the emerging economies in Southeast Asia have crashed. It all started from Thailand, and that's a different story as to why that crisis had happened. But good or bad, that crisis happened, and India has been at the receiving end at that time, and our imports became more and more costly. So India is wary about capital outflows that might happen in case if there is going to be a geopolitical event. So they have adopted a partial capital account convertibility regime, which means that all the transactions that happen across the borders are going to be regulated beyond a particular amount, and there is a cap on the maximum amount of the cross border transaction, and beyond that, if you want to do it, it is going to be regulated. And so what do we need to do now to cross this barrier and to make our Indian rupee a globally dominant currency? So to make this happen, we need to ensure three things. One, we need to have a good fiscal discipline within our country. When I say fiscal discipline, whether it is the federal government or all the respective state governments, they need to cap all their expenses and maintain a good expense income ratio. Second, we need to ensure that our banking and financial system is going to be transparent and it's going to be efficient. And they keep their books totally transparent and accountable. And thirdly, we need to ensure that our external economic factors such as the forex reserves, the current account balance, and the trade deficits and all, they don't get cleaved by each and every geopolitical event that keeps happening outside. So we need to have these macroeconomic factors within the confines of stability. And the moment we ensure all these things, then we can actually set the stage for our economy to go through the fully capital account convertible regime. But having said all of this, there is a trump card which Indian government is now exploring to make our currency a dominant currency, and that is technology. We all know what cryptocurrency is doing to the currencies across the world, and it's gaining traction in many parts of the world, and many of the central banks are looking it as a threat to the fiscal currency. And our e-rupee launched by the Reserve Bank of India in 2022 as the central bank's digital currency is our answer to the cryptocurrency. It is powered by blockchain, and it does not have the risk of an intermediary failure, and the transactions are going to be done with 100% success rate. Right now, it is open to Indian diaspora, and it is expected that this coverage will expand to all the commercial transactions as well. And when we make its payment accessible to a lot of other applications, which is one of the unique aspect of the CBDC software, then there is no stopping for this Indian e-rupee, and it is going to gain acceptance and accessibility across many parts of the world. Only time will tell how this will pan out. But when we take care of all these controllable factors which we discussed earlier, in terms of the fiscal discipline by the central government and the state governments, and maintaining your resilience of all the forex reserves and the trade balances with various countries, and ensuring that your geopolitical risks are minimized as an economy, and keeping your banking and financial system totally transparent and efficient, you can then set the stage for the conventional way of making your economy a fully capital account convertible economy. And at the same time, in parallel to that, you can also leverage the technology and power your Indian digital e-rupee through your blockchain, and make it more and more accessible to a variety of transactions across the world. I think these two initiatives over a period of time will definitely pave the way for the Indian currency to become a dominant currency in the world. If not the most dominant, it will definitely become the second or third most dominant currency across the world for sure. So this is the brief uh, uh, thought train that I wanted to share with all of you. And I hope that in our generation, in our lifetime, we are going to see a day where Indian currency is going to be globally accepted and accessible, and we are going to dislodge some of the most dominant currencies in the world and become the most powerful currency in the world one day. And that is going to do a lot of wonders for our country, and it is going to bring a lot of predictability to all the businesses which do currency in our transactions. Let's hope for that day to come, and let's wish our government all the best in its endeavor to make Indian rupee the globally dominant currency. Thank you and Jai Hind.